Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very special one-shot presentation brought to you by the players of Scion of the Dark House, a Gothic horror D&D 5th edition podcast. Since it is Gothic horror and this one-shot actually will be taking place in the same universe, there's going to be some things that maybe may cause some trepidation for some folks. Blood, gore, endangerment, fear, horror, dismemberment, child endangerment, things like that. So know your limits. If anything comes up to a line for you, take a break. Your support means a lot to us, but so does your mental health. So in today's little adventure, we'll start with a brief introduction of the party, such as it were. We'll do a little movie style here. I'll do my best narrator voice. Ahem, ahem. In the deep waters southwest of the Gothian coastline, churning the surface of the sea to a bloody foam, are sharks. Among the seamen that travel these waters, there is one such creature feared more than the rest. A bloodthirsty hunter who will do anything to ensure its survival, beating out other hunters for the choicest bit of meat. He is known as the bully shark. And with this moniker is branded the ship of retired military sergeant Captain James Weatherby and his crew, a band of good-hearted ne'er-do-wells who travel the countries, bringing their own brand of misbegotten justice where they see fit, trading in anything from black powder to banned scrolls, to rare artifacts, anything that really you could imagine. And so on the most recent voyage, the shark traveled to the western reaches of Indra, collecting a shipment of black powder. Not in the immediate area, but very close by, the crew was surprised to find that the city of Harassa had come under siege. And they also collected, while they were there, the twins Tati and Toa al-Shadri, who were refugees of the sacking of the city. The ship has since departed from Harassa, and we are going to join the crew in the Egyptian port city of Niweba, where they have arrived to collect payment for a shipment of banned scrolls that they're delivering to a connoisseur of the occult. So we're going to join them actually immediately in that interaction, and know that they are preparing for another voyage destined for the port town of Keelhaul in Godia to deliver the rest of their shipment. So where we're going to drop down is we join the crew in a tavern in the city of Niweba. So I'll, give you the interiors. There is a sort of a long bar along one side. It's a deep building, sort of dark woods, rich earth tones everywhere. Obviously some seaside memorabilia, let's call it a ship's wheel up on the wall, that sort of thing. There's a rough sort of dwarven woman at the bar. She's got unruly red hair and a surprisingly well-kept beard, very, very neat and tidy. So she's tending bar over at the left side of the room. In the main portion of the room, there are 6 long, let's say about 6-foot eating table. You guys can choose, where you're situated there. And then over to the left, the bar doesn't quite run the whole length of the building. Over to the left, there's a little space where some people are playing games. There's some billiards, a version of what we might call darts that's actually played with small, sort of dehydrated ocean creatures. They kind of look like little shrimp, but they have very pointy noses, so they're using them, kind of throwing them at the board. In the very back of the room is Captain James Weatherby and his financier, accountant, bookkeeper, Carlton Munster, who all of you would know. You've been traveling with them for a little while, and they are both speaking with a lad, a dragonborn man, whose face is covered partially by a hood, But you know what he's doing back there. You know, they're brokering the payment, working out the end of the deal. And other than that, the evening, such as it is yours. So what are you all doing?
Well, Smee, which is me, a lovely, sleek black tabaxi with sort of mottled gray spots all along him, wearing a fine outfit and a large hat, and brandishing 2 rapiers at his side. As always, I'm looking for a few suckers that I can con some money out of.
Okay, fair enough. Do you want to give me let's call it a perception check?
Sure. Ooh, I did very well. That's gonna be... Oh, I opened the wrong character sheet. One moment.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, I have a +2. That's unnatural 20.
Oh, wow. Okay, so the I mean, it's a tavern. People are enjoying their intoxicants.
Wonderful.
There are plenty of people that you could likely coerce into doing pretty much anything you wanted in their inebriated state. One such individual is over at this area to the left of the entrance, where there are the games. There's the billiard table, and then this version of darts. He is he's a stout halfling. Let's say young man, early 20s, mousy brown hair, kind of unassuming. And it seems like the group that's over there, they don't seem to know him very well, but they are sort of picking on him for not really being as talented as some of the other players at this game. You know, he's barely managed to hit the board with one of these little creatures here. So he's definitely an excellent mark.
Excellent. I will sort of just look at my younger brother next to me, and just kind of eye the halfling and nod towards him, and I'm gonna start walking over. And I think on my way also, if there's just anyone sitting at the bar or something, as long as they don't look like a, I don't know, big orc who can punch me into next week, I'm just want to literally just walk by and sleight of hand try to pick a pocket as I walk over to the halfling.
Okay, so there is, let's say at the very end, there's an elven woman. She is conversing with a half-elf sitting on the stool, not right next to her, but there's 2 bar stools in between.
Excellent.
She's definitely into it, in nice warm body language, but she's turned in such a way that you could probably get in there without her noticing very well. Go ahead with your...
I want to slide a hand up a +9 to this.
Yep, go for it.
All right, that is a 25.
Okay. So, yeah, she's not really brought much with her. Unfortunately, it would have ruined the lines of the gorgeous dress that she's done this evening. It's a nice, beautiful, sleek yellow. Yeah. But you did find her coin purse, which was hanging off of her side, and you collected 25 gold.
And as I walk by, I kind of want to very smoothly grab her hand and give it a little kiss and say, "You look beautiful tonight, ma'am." As I will continue walking by. She
just sort of, blushes and uses it as an opportunity to make half-elf man a little jealous. And you continue on your way to your mark.
Yes. And I eye my little brother to make sure he's stealthing away and trying to get a good mark on this guy.
So, I'm playing Smee's younger brother. His name is Wink. He is a shorter, younger Tabaxi, a plucky-looking little kid who looks like a fluffy white Persian cat. He's too fluffy for his own good sometimes. He's a little chubbly, and he's just got... His outfit's a little less ostentatious than his brother's. He also has a rapier on his hip. And, at the signal, he just kind of fades into the crowd. So, I don't even know if you would see him at that point when you started walking over. because he's just gonna do his thing where he bobs and weaves and moves out and about. And yeah, he's gonna try to slink over without anybody noticing him.
Sure. Roll me your stealth.
Ooh, okay. That is. Let me check my modifier. Yep, that is one of my expertises. 25.
Wow. Okay. So you are just absolutely saturated with the grace of a feline, you know. So the other patrons in the bar, while not completely oblivious to your passing through them, they really don't pay you much attention. You know, they're busy enjoying their time, having drinks, you know, having conversations. There's loud music. You can pretty much bump into anybody at this point, and they wouldn't even.
Wonderful. So I notice as my younger brother disappears into the shadows of the bar. I would like to approach this younger halfling, and also does he have? Does it look like he has anything valuable on his person? A necklace, a ring, a watch, something of that kind?
He doesn't appear to be wealthy. Just judging by his attire, you know, it's pretty dingy. He's obviously working class. Just a simple tunic, maybe a leather belt, some breeches, simple leather boots. The one thing that he does have is dangle around his neck a pocket watch, you know, sort of like a closed, it's around a chain. Obviously too large for him. Like it was clearly designed for somebody not, you know, a small creature. That really seems to be the only thing of value that he's got. It does appear to be made of gold.
Wonderful. So we're trying to pull a little bit of a con right here. So my little brother's going to try to steal all of his money. So when I challenge him to a bet, he won't be able to pay me when I win. So he'll have to offer something of equal value. I'll saunter up to him and I say, my, that is some fancy dot work you have there, young man.
Me?
Yeah, you. Am I the cat with the cat's grace, or are you, little guy? I can't tell.
I don't know if I'd call it fancy. I only hit the target once.
He's being too humble. The name's Smooth as Silk. My friends call me Smee.
He takes your hand. He's kind of only like his whole hand can just kind of grasp around like 3 of your fingers. Just kind of shakes it very timidly. Oh, well, that is Silky.
I have been told it is my namesake. Now, I think that makes us friends now, introductions and all. I was wondering, might I interest you in a game?
Well, I'm not very good at games.
Everyone's good at games, and after all, the important thing is that you have fun.
There's another gentleman behind him, a halfling, who is a bit larger than the one you've seen here. Obviously, more of let's call him kind of a macho guy. And he sort of turns around and he slaps the halfling you're speaking to, and he says, "Yeah, you couldn't hit a target if it was right in front of your face, could you?" You know, he just kind of ribbing him a little bit. I know.
Well, if darts aren't your calling, perhaps I'll brandish a deck of cards. Game of poker, mate.
Well, I guess cards couldn't be that hard.
Oh, no, not at all.
So, okay.
Excellent, my friend. Take a seat over here, the empty table right next to us.
I suppose. And he just, you know, very shyly kind of walks his way over.
So while
Excellent.
That's happening, can I see this and scoot closer to the table that they're at, just in case something happens? Because I know these two. They get into trouble all the time. So, of course, I probably stick out like a sore thumb because I literally look like a corpse. I am a probably 5'10" woman with this sort of pale blue-gray skin. I look like I have always been just doused with a bucket of water or just getting out of a pool. I basically just wear a white dress that has been stained just constantly. And I have a long braid. It's so long that it drags on the floor and I have to loop it around my hand. I oftentimes do this. And you very visibly see me scoot a couple of seats down and sit, and I make eye contact with you, Smee. Like, I know you're doing something, and I don't know what it is. And I just sit there. I'm not even drinking. I'm just holding an empty cup, just to like blend in a little bit.
Which doesn't really work very well.
I'm sure it doesn't.
As you scooch down on one of these bench seats, the opposite side of the table, there were some other patrons that were a little bit further away from you. You come a bit too close, and they just sort of look at each other and get up and walk to another table.
Yeah, so I stick out like an absolute sore thumb, and no one wants to be... Like, it's weird. I don't smell like a corpse, but no one wants to be within a certain radius of me as if I smelled.
Yeah, you're pretty creepy. So,
yeah, I'll notice that approach, and like internally, if you rolled an insight check or something, it's definitely like, Saints, damn it, not this waterlogged problem again. But I'll just kind of like smile and shoot you a wink.
My face just does not change. Stoic.
I'm also really quick gonna shoot a bardic inspiration to my brother.
Okay.
I was gonna say, while all this is going on, just a little white paw hand reaches out from underneath the table.
Okay. And we're
sitting
doing
down.
what now?
Take a seat, young man. My, them are some
I'm trying to
fancy
figure out-
clothes.
As a player, I don't know how to pickpocket people. But I'm just gonna try to use my flipping through the crowd, being nondescript and discreet. I'm just gonna like kind of walk past the table and I don't know. I'm gonna try to pickpocket the guy somehow in a fashion that. How do you pickpocket a sitting halfling? They're so short.
So, at least in this particular town, it seems to be pretty common fashion just to wear one's coin purse like on a belt. So that would be pretty easily accessible even from seated. If you'd like, if you want to like stealth up behind him as he's sitting down to start this game of poker, you are more than welcome to make a sleight of hand if you'd like.
Oh yeah, and I'm definitely like, I don't even need a dagger or anything to cut it. It's just one claw.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tabaxi have those. So if I'm doing it from stealth, do I get advantage? How does stealth work for pickpocketing people?
For stealth, I'm gonna give you like whether or not he notices you, which
Okay.
I'm just gonna call your stealth check already good. The sleight of hand, I'm gonna give you more like whether you were able to get it or not, how much you were able to get, that sort of thing.
And what's your bardic inspiration die?
I believe it's a plus a d6 right now.
Oh. That was only a 3 before my modifier, which
Okay.
is so my modifier puts it up to 10, and then my bardic inspiration puts it at 13.
Is there any way I can add advantage to that because I'm like distracting him or something?
I would be happy to give you the help action, but right at that very moment, just as Wink is kind of reaching from, I was going to say reaching from behind, as he's reaching for the coin purse to clip it off with a deft swipe of his claw, Captain Weatherby and Carlton, return from the other side of the room. They both very rapidly seat themselves down at the table. Smack. Captain Weatherby
At my table?
at that table, yes.
Oh no!
He plops his mug down kind of violently, and Carlton turns to the young halfling boy, and he says, "Pardon me, young man, but I do believe your game has ended." And he's
I
just
kinda
going to
sigh.
you
Visibly
hurriedly,
see
like,
me
look around.
stop white knuckling my own braid.
So the halfling, obviously being pretty intimidated that this like group of men has just sort of showed up, he just kind of like, okay, I guess it was nice meeting you, and he just sort of walks away.
Likewise. Captain! What do I owe the pleasure?
Just keeping you two from getting into any more trouble than we need tonight. We're here for a job.
We weren't gonna get in no trouble, from under the table. We just hear. We weren't gonna get in no trouble, Captain. I had it covered completely, and I'm as deft as one of them there flying hippogriff creature monster from them there sword books.
The captain is he's a kind-hearted man. He's good-hearted. You know, he does chuckle a bit, although he tries very hard not to show it. Carlton, on the other hand, is not amused in the slightest, and from his seat above the table, you hear him from underneath Wink say, "What you are is absolutely ridiculous. You look foolish hiding under there like a child. Would you come up here where we can speak to you like adults?"
Ugh. I'm just gonna like do the cat crawl up and sit next to my brother.
Yeah, I'm like counting the gold I took from that elvish woman, and I'm just gonna pass half of it to Wink.
And so the captain sees you doing this, and he crosses his hand. You can't see on my camera. Crosses his hands under his chin like this, kind of rests himself on the table, and he says, "So, now that the reprimands are out of the way, how much did you make?"
How much did we make?
So yeah, you all that you would have gotten was the 25 gold that you got from
25, right?
From that young lady.
I'll keep 13, and he can have 12.
And then so the captain he says, "Yeah, that's excellent work, folks, but let's perhaps stick to ventures with larger returns." And he plops down a little like leather satchel of gold that was obviously given to him by the dragonborn gentleman. He opens it up and he does divvy out a portion to each of you. Please add 20 gold each to your inventory.
Dang.
If I can figure out where
12
that
plus
is.
20 is 30.
The music is a little bit loud, I believe.
Oh, yeah, it is like, yeah, it is getting a bit loud.
All good.
Yeah, maybe we just have it for scene setting and then.
Yeah, I think it like actually sort of builds in intensity. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So we each get
I
how
like
much gold?
it.
20 gold?
20 gold, yes.
20 gold, then 12 gold from my big bro,
Yep.
and then my starting gold from my background.
Mhm. Okay, so we've all
Rich.
got our gold added. Excellent.
I have a whole 30 gold.
So the other members of the crew, they are present. There are a few more of them at another table. At your table, Wink, Smee, Rusulki, we, obviously you've been joined by Carlton and the captain. Also, at the other end of the table, just sort of keeping an eye on things pretty quietly from the side is Ural, who for our viewers is a, let's say, 35-year-old orc, very well muscled. He's pretty intimidating, but doesn't seem to be bothering anybody. He is the closest thing that the ship has to a cook. He's kind of observing the situation from the end of that table. Two more tables back, you have Thrandar Greybeard, the ship's dwarven mechanic, braided beard, ruddy brown hair. There is also at that same table, again, 2 tables back, Merrick Stoutwillow, the ship's halfling scout. He's often found up in the crow's nest, scouting out with the spyglass. There is a very small sort of high top over in a tucked away corner that's sort of poorly lit over by where the games are. And at that table sit the refugees that you picked up in Harassa, Tati, and Toa al-Shadri. They are sort of like tan-skinned half-elves. Tati wears her hair pretty short. It's cropped just to below her chin. Toa, her older brother, by only a few minutes, again, they are twins, wears his hair loose and long, about down to his ribs. They're both covered in tribal tattoos. And then you have at the other end of the bar on the far side of the room having fun with a young lady is Ivard Ficklestick, the ship's gnome mechanic. So the captain sort of whistles. I can't whistle. For everybody to kind of come close, he does finish divvying out the payments to each other member of the crew. Thrandar, extremely excited about this. He's been waiting for payment to come in for a little while. He slams his mead down on the table. It splashes everywhere, and he says something enthusiastic about going to spend the rest of his gold on booze and goes to do just that. Ural continues to drink quietly in the corner. Tati and Toa, completely isolated, whispering to themselves, just sort of observing, obviously very uncomfortable. And so the captain, after divvying out these payments, he does offer you the remainder of the evening. He gives you a little bit of a preface. So our business here is concluded for the time being. We are moored just at the edge of town, and we'll be departing at first light. So the rest of the evening is yours to enjoy, and I expect you all bright and ready in the morning. And he makes his way away from the table that you're seated at, past the front edge of the bar, past the darts and the billiards. There's a set of stairs that actually leads upstairs to an inn, and he does have a room up there. He goes to retire for the evening, presumably. And the rest of the night
As he gets up, I look him in the eyes and say, "I hate you." And then I cast Gift of Gab, so it never happened.
Okay. So for a second, he kind of, but that's it. And then he just continued walking.
Oh, Smiley, you're so funny.
Thank you, little brother. Now, what shall we do with the rest of our night after our captain so rudely interrupted our game? Also, that is a deck of marked cards, by the way, so for my charlatan background, so that would have gone great. So Smee is upset.
You are more than welcome to try again with another mark. The tavern is still popping. Let's say you guys arrived at about sunset, because that's a very mysterious and shady time to do business. So you arrived at dusk. It's been, let's say, 2 hours. It is, I don't know what we called it. By the way, for you guys above game, we are timing this, that this adventure is going to be happening about the same time that the main party is returning from defeating the then Archfey Samantha. So that's around this same time frame. What time of year did we say that was?
I don't think we ever stated what time of year it was. I think we've just skipped over the concept of seasons entirely.
Fair enough. So let's call it late summer. Let's say sunset dusk is happening at about 8:30. So by the time you've wrapped up all of this business, it's about 9:30, 10 o'clock. You still have several hours before the nightlife winds down. There is the rest of the town that you can explore if you would like. And then obviously you've got rooms waiting for you upstairs the captain has already paid for.
Lovely.
I'm just fiddling with one of my hoop earrings that are in my ears at this point. Because I've got like a string of them on one side and then like a stud in the other.
So
Well,
while
I
you're
mean,
sitting there fiddling, the young elven woman who was at the end of the bar, Smee, you do notice that she leaves the bar. Her gentleman companion nowhere to be found, and she approaches you, walking sort of in a very graceful arc for absolutely no reason other than to show off the swish of her
Of
hips
course.
in that dress, and she saunters up to you and just says, "So, what was that you were saying again?"
well, if it isn't the full moon herself coming to grace me with her presence.
Full moon. Ooh, are we that intimate already?
We can be.
Oh my, so forward. I honestly wasn't expecting that. This other poor sap couldn't muster the courage to, well, frankly, anything, if my opinion is to be believed.
Well, I apologize for what must have been a very lousy date. Perhaps we can rectify that.
Oh, and I do like the sound of that.
Don't
She
you
just
care to
sort of-
join us? And I'll kind of just like motion to the bartender, like a couple ale, 3 ales, please. Looking at
She just kind of
Wink also.
from across the room, grunts, waves her hand. She's noticed you. She'll get around to it when
Yeah.
she's ready. Okay, hold your fucking horses. So your lady companion seats herself. She introduces herself to the party as Delilah. Oh, hello, all so charmed. As she puts her hand out, as the bartender does eventually make her way over. It's really only like a minute or two before she comes over carrying just kind of a armful of nope, I forget the word for them. We'll say mugs.
Steins?
Anchor.
Steins.
Tankards.
I wanted steins. That's the word I'm looking for. She's carrying a couple of steins.
So
and
I'll,
I imagine
I'll,
she's
I'll
gonna drop
extend
them
a
down.
paw and warmly hold her hand and say, my name, my beautiful lady, is smooth as silk. And yes,
Oh,
it
you
is
certainly
smooth
are,
everywhere.
aren't you?
Like,
She's sort
my,
of,
my little brother
flipping.
Wink and that thing.
I'm still sitting at the table holding a cup.
Oh,
And I just kind of look directly at her. I have no concept of like people might have scopophobia. I like look
She just
directly
sort of-
into everyone's eyes and I just raise the cup, the empty cup, and then I'm gonna actually get up and go over and start playing darts.
fair. Okay. So as you about, let's say, immediately before you've risen from the table, when you just kind of stare at Delilah, she sort of raises her stein like behind.
That's
Oh
smart.
my.
That's a good plan.
What fascinating company you keep.
Quiet.
I'm gonna leave you two talk. I'm gonna go play darts with the dead lady. Bye, y'all.
Why don't you do that, little brother?
Why is it that you like? I can't help but picturing him like in overalls for some reason, like
The bottle of moonshine.
with a rake. I don't know why he's got the rake, but
A rake.
Blame Colton. He's the one who said go southern. And I was like,
I said I was doing it.
I was like, I'm gonna go hillbilly from Appalachia.
So Smee is chatting up his lady friend Delilah, this beautiful blonde-haired, blue-eyed elven woman, and Rusulki and Wink have decided they're going to engage in a game of darts. Are you taking on any competitors, or are you playing against each other?
I think we could take them. Is there anybody nearby for us to? So, like, Wink, when left to his own devices, will gamble all of his money away in a heartbeat or win big. It's just he has to chase that rush when he can.
Okay.
I have
If
yelled at you
anything-
so many times. You never bet when you know you aren't gonna win.
For him, the fun's in the bet itself, in the dare. Like, Smee is the one who puts a stop before he loses everything, usually.
Right.
He's
So
gonna-
yeah, as you two walk over, there are The three other persons who were playing that dark game, it looks like their game has wrapped up. Three other humanoids here who were playing that game with the young halfling whose name we still don't know, that Smee was trying to con out of his beautiful pocket watch. There are two humans, two men. They actually appear to be brothers. They're very, very similar looking. Like if the two were standing next to each other, you really couldn't tell the difference. They're both dark-haired, bearded, pretty tall, not very well muscled, sort of thin, but lean. It looks like they can handle themselves. And then there is that other halfling who was kind of ribbing the gentleman that you were trying to con. So there are those three folks there, kind of just chatting and enjoying their ale, it appears.
Any of y'all want to play me and my friend here, Russie? Russie and I are real good at darts.
And you just see me. And when I do, you actually see I have a wicked set of shark teeth. I don't have human teeth. I have shark teeth. So just...
We'll pull them out of her mouth.
And
You see them chompers?
one of the humans just sort of turns and looks you up and down. He says, well, that one looks about half dead. And the man next to him says, if not the whole way.
No one knows.
Okay, cool. What the fuck are you? Says this is the other halfling. He is way drunk. Like he's wasted. You know, he has no idea what's going on. He's actually not repulsed by Rusulki. He is more fascinated. While the other two are definitely keeping their distance. What the fuck are you? And he points really, really close to your face.
I don't budge at all. And I just... Wouldn't you like to know?
I mean, that's why I asked, but I guess whatever. And he hiccups, and then he falls down on the ground.
Unfortunate.
You
The
okay
other
with some
two-
darts?
The other two men just sort of they sigh, they drag him. They drag him to the corner and sort of prop him up against the wall. Ironically, directly to the right of the dartboard, like very much in danger of being hit by they have no concern for his safety. God, every time we take you out, Toddlin, every single time.
Toddlin.
Toddlin. Toddlin.
Yep,
Rusulki doesn't say this. She stays silent.
Mm-hmm.
We got some gold. You got some gold. You just see Wink just start like counting out some gold from his chambers. Like, how much you want bet?
And he just sort of there's one gentleman who, one of the humans, he's still got his hands on Todd. What did I call him? Toddlin. Toddlin's arms. The other one, as you say gold, he's got Toddlin's feet in his hands, and he just sort of turns and he drops the feet down to the floor with a thud, thud. And he says, well, why didn't you say that in the first place? The other human releases Toddlin's arms. They fall limp at his sides. He's still very drunk, totally passed out, drooling on himself. He says, Baron, what have I told you about gambling? Oh, Baird, you never let me have any fun. I'll take you on.
All right.
Hells yeah!
And so you engage in a lovely game of darts with these weird shrimp creatures. Baird, clearly the more responsible of the two, you assume brothers, hangs back from the game. He's just sort of ribbing Baron every time he, makes a poor shot, or kind of trying to psych him out. If you guys would like, we actually can play through this game. We can do some skill checks and see who wins.
I guess so.
Okay, sure thing. So we'll take turns. Actually, let's have you guys roll initiative.
That's gonna be a what is it? What's my
I only
initiative?
got an 8.
I got an 18.
I rolled very poorly, which is probably going to be a
Okay,
theme
so
of
Rusulki
tonight.
got an 8,
Yep.
and Wink got an 18.
Yep.
Okay, and Baron got a 1. So it is going to be Wink first. Let's say, actually, tell you what, let's call this a thrown weapon attack.
I was gonna say, if it's a dart, I'm already good with those.
Me
Yes.
too.
Yep. Okay, so we will, we'll start with Wink. Go ahead and roll your dart attack.
I would also like to use steady aim as a
Fair
class
enough. You may use steady aim.
to roll with advantage because I'm bracing myself before I throw. Wink's just like, oh, I real hope I can do this good. I don't think I ever thrown one of these things. And then he's just gonna like, ooh. What's my bonus to thrown weapon? Proficiency plus dex. So that's gonna be +7. It's a 24.
Okay. 24 puts you dead smack in the 10 ring. You reel back on this dart with your soft little paw, kind of wondering what it might taste like, almost, this little shrimpy creature in your hand, and release it expertly. It sails in a direct path straight to the bullseye. 10 points for Wink. And Rusulki, it is your turn. We're going to give you each 3 throws.
Three throws. Okay. Let's see if my luck as a player screws me over.
Also, Smee is just sort of out of the corner of his eye, keeping an eye on this game.
23.
Okay, 23 is also going to put you dead smack in the 10 ring.
I'm gonna whistle. I can't whistle in person, but Wink whistles at that. He was like, "Damn, Rusty, I didn't know you were that there good at throwing them there shrimps."
I'm much
Okay.
better when the target is flesh.
Okay, so Baron just sort of saddles up. He scoots Rusulki out of the way, like, oh, okay, that was unnecessary. Now, gentlemen, watch how a pro does it. And he takes a swig of his ale. Watch how it's done. Rolls himself. He is way more drunk than he thought. He hauls off with this dart, tosses it, only he accidentally burps at the very same time. Shit, and it sails off to the right, and it hits Toddlin directly in the shoulder, who wakes up, good, and then immediately falls back asleep. Oh, did we lose Colton? Oh, no, there he is.
I'm here.
Camera just froze.
All right, so back up to the top with Wink, who is replacing the sulking Baron who got 0 points.
I never seen nobody shoot nobody in the shoulder with a shrimp before. You mean do that?
Very funny. We'll see what happens next turn. And Baird, his brother, is just kind of looking at him like, see, I told you.
I rolled, even taking steady aim, I rolled like crap that round. I only got a 12.
Okay, so 12 is going to get you a pretty decent shot, but your aim's a little off. You're terribly amused by the fact that this poor halfling fellow has just been shot with a sea creature in the shoulder. And you're giggling as you try to make your shot. So you land in the 6 ring. That's going to be 6 points.
All right.
And Rusulki is up.
All right. $14. Not as good as the first shot.
All right. 14, pretty good aim. You're not distracted, really. Just not the best shot. That's going to get you 7 points.
Ooh.
And then it is going to be Baron firing his second shot. We'll see who has the last laugh. And he decides that he's going to be a little bit of an asshole. So he sets down his ale on this high top over to the left, where Tati and Toa are still seated watching this whole thing. And he switches the shrimp dart from his right hand to his left hand. He says, I bet you I can beat you with my left hand. And he rolls really terribly. And he does hit the target this time. Woo! His hands go up. He's all excited. And he creeps closer to the target, kind of squinting. And shit! And he's landed in the 2 ring. He only got 2 points. Back up to the top with Wing.
I guess I might need to take this a little serious. It's fine. How much you want to bet? How much did you want to bet?
Did I say
what you want to bet?
Is that what we're doing? I don't recall ever having agreed to anything like that.
Nah.
I would actually wait. How good is my intimidation? One moment. Let me look. Ooh. It's only a +3. I feel like me being a literal corpse, basically, I would turn, look directly at him, and just go, well, that's unfortunate. I seem to remember you did agree to this. I'd like to make an intimidation check.
Okay, go ahead and roll me your intimidation.
Oh my god, natural 20 +3.
Okay, so he actually, his only response when you say this is to pee a little bit. That's
I
all
have
he
that
does.
effect on people.
He doesn't respond at all. You just kind of see a wet spot soaking in his breech as it travels down the left leg of his pants a little bit. And he says, just take it. Just go away. And he just like throws his coin purse onto the ground, grabs Baird. The two of them sort of grab Toddlin by the shoulders and sort of try to shake him. One of them yanks the dart out of his shoulder, and they sort of just start dragging him up the stairs to try to get him to a room. Let's get the hell out of here. Their coin purse is still on the ground.
Way to go, Rusty. It ain't as fun as winning it outright.
A win is a win.
Me, you could play over it. You're already in the lead.
Smee definitely like nod towards their coin purse at my brother.
I feel like I'd probably pick it up just delicately.
Okay, so you are now in possession of a coin purse with an indeterminate amount of gold. Would you like to open it?
Yes, I would.
Okay, roll me a D100.
Ooh. You're trusting me to roll something as a player. Interesting. 33.
So you find 33 gold in the coin purse. What you do with it is up to you.
You want to split it? You want to play for it? What you want to do there, Rusty?
Let's just split it.
Fair.
And so
Rusulki, you go ahead and add 17. We'll give Wink 16.
Always get the lesser amount. It's fine.
It's almost like I was the one that won it.
Would you like to take your final shot, Wink, just to see who may have won the game?
I'll take. Wink's gonna grab it and not even looking at the thing, or just barely with a glance, a flick of his eyes over, he's gonna shoot. That would be an 18 on his.
So that will get you 9 points. Definitely puts you in a super tight lead. Rusulki, do you have a challenge?
Sure. I'll just pick up the dart and flick it. This is going to be the part where I roll poorly. I rolled a 19.
Okay.
Slippery barbs.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Careful not to miss there, Selkie. Looks like you might lose if you do.
I rolled a 5, so that would be a 10.
Okay. So that will get you an additional 5 points, which does put you 2 points behind Wink, who has won the game. The Tabaxi brothers looking out for each other as always, it appears.
I feel like I'd be aware that magic was used on me.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. You probably see like Smee just from across the room, just kind of.
Yep. I'm still just so into this date right now.
Entranced with your flirting with Delilah.
Mostly, does she have like a necklace or like earrings or something?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I'm looking at.
She is dolled. She's got obviously this beautiful yellow dress. I mean, I don't know how you would take that from her, but it does look expensive.
I can find a way.
She has
that necklace looks like it's a 15-carat diamond.
Well, it's not a diamond. It is, however, made of abalone shell, which are very valuable.
Okay.
They're sort of natural shapes, sort of strung together, larger pieces in the center and sort of trailing off. She's got a matching set of earrings and a few little pieces of some pearl beading tied into her hair.
I'd like to walk over, knowing that this has happened, and I just stand directly next to her, like maybe like a hair too close, stare directly at her and just go, I would keep an eye and possibly a hand on those jewels. This one's a little handsy. And then just walk off.
I was sort of hoping for that, but
I promise I can reach all the right places.
oh my, you sure do know how to make a lady blush. I don't know why she's suddenly Western too, but
I have that effect on people.
So let's say Delilah decides that she's going to get up and make her way. She's seated to your right, so she makes her way around your back to your left, is now standing at the edge of the table. She sort of drags her hand along your back as she stands up and says, don't you think there might be someplace more comfortable we could chat?
I do believe my lovely captain has purchased for me a room tonight, so
this
that
woman,
sounds
by
luxurious.
the way, is very foolish and a total fur fucker. So she follows you as you lead the way up to your chambers. And let's say as you pass the evening doing whatever it is you're doing, you do have ample opportunity to snatch her jewels. Please roll me let's just call it 1 sleight of hand.
All right. Come on. +9. That is a natural 20.
Oh my god. I love how we're just wasting them all now.
Yeah. So sometime in the night, you do manage to pluck the jewels from her. They are in your possession. And we will kind of rewind a little bit and jump back down to the tavern where we will join Wink, Rusulki, and the rest of the crew.
Looks like that didn't work out for you, Russie, though. I mean, I can't go upstairs now and go to bed yet. It's the honey trap. Real good, the honey trap. I once saw him talk one of them there Gothian clerics out of his there robes. Then again, maybe they'll take him to a healer.
Wink blonde guy.
He's this blue tiefling guy. I can't remember his name.
Oh my god.
Fantastic.
He had to take Smee to the healer after because I think he caught something in his neck.
Ed was a sailor. That works.
Very true. My God, was he cheating?
Don't know. So you guys pass the rest of the evening in relative amounts of debauchery.
I'm trying to talk the crew and everybody going and getting tattooed at one point.
I don't know how that's gonna. You guys are leaving. You guys are literally leaving in the morning. Like, are you going to get tattooed now? How drunk are we getting? Like, what?
I do not get drunk because I do not drink.
Right. So Rusulki is the DD.
Basically.
Can she get drunk?
I'm going to say technically, the Reborn can eat. They don't because they don't need it, but I'm going to say that Rusulki literally cannot. She like vomits up seawater, grave dirt, fish skeletons, all kinds of nasty, horrible things. No matter what she eats, that's always what comes up.
Yep, that's super.
So I cannot eat or drink anything, or I will be vomiting for like 2 minutes straight. The most vile concoction of like formaldehyde and dirt, mud, seaweed, fish, everything. It's weird.
Super gross.
At one point, I've got one of the dart things and I'm just licking it to see what it tastes like. See if it's actually edible, one of the dart shrimp. I mean, like, anybody want me? I can pierce your. I did all my own in my ears. Anybody want to pierce?
So,
with the shrimp.
As you're licking this shrimp, he's definitely had some alcohol. He's licking this shrimp dart and like sort of maybe motioning to pierce his ear. Some of the locals are definitely looking at you very strangely, like wondering what's about to go down. They sort of, chuckle, point, laugh. You're obviously not from here. Otherwise, you would know that these particular creatures, one gentleman points out to you as he's walking past, he says, that they are edible, but the meat is really not very good. Plus, those have been sitting here for some time. You may want to choose other fare. He just sort of salutes you with his mug and walks his way out.
I think it's time that we stopped playing with that. And I'm going to take the dart and just toss it across the room. And I am going to try and like aim it towards the dartboard. Just like send it across the room. This is the part where I roll a natural one and hit someone directly in the eye.
Yeah, go ahead and roll.
11.
Okay, so, you were aiming to be badass and hit the dartboard from across the room. You hit the wall next to it, right about where Toddlin's head would have been.
All right.
Not as impressive as you were going for.
True.
Oh, I thought I could give y'all a unity piercing. Also, like, a few days ain't that bad. When we were kittens, me and Smee, we used to have to eat like everything off the street when it was covered in grime and flies and who knows what. We're lucky if we could rinse it off first.
Ural from the other end of the table that you're now seated at, being the cook, obviously is a little offended by this statement, and he says, when we know better, we do better. And that's it. That's all he says.
Y'all. I feel like, obviously, like, Wink plays himself off as a little bit of a fool, but like he's very carefully measuring out how much he's actually drinking and fake drinking half the time. Like, at most he's got a buzz going, so like, but he's being very jovial and acting the part of a drunk person.
Would you care to give me a performance check?
Okay. That's only an 8.
Okay.
My passive insight is 15.
Okay, so some of the locals are fooled, but most of the crew, at least at the table, it's pretty easy to tell that you're putting on a little bit of a show. They realize you're exaggerating maybe how inebriated you might be. For whose benefit, they're not sure. And the rest of the evening is yours. Tati and Toa are pretty satisfied, just kind of hanging in the corner, waiting for something to happen. Really, they joined only to get safe passage to somewhere that was not under siege and constantly being bombarded by fireballs. Ural is perfectly happy to continue drinking his ale until he passes out. Thrandar has taken up a lovely, rousing game of darts with Merrick over at the corner. Thrandar is repeatedly punching Merrick in the shoulder every time he misses a shot, which you can tell is actually hurting Merrick more than Thrandar. He winces every single, ow, stop it. The captain and Carlton obviously have already retired for the evening. The only other member of the crew besides Ivard, who is still entertaining his female companion in the background, is the first mate, Marilyn Joffrey, who is a tall, well-built, like Amazonian woman of a tiefling, like big curling horns running along the side of her face, pale red skin, bright, fiery red hair, it trails in a braid, sort of down past her abdomen. And she actually does come over to the group as they're sort of, just hanging out here, wondering what exactly is going on with Smee upstairs. And she, having, again, no patience for nonsense whatsoever, very similar to Carlton, although not nearly as well spoken, says, "And what's all this here?"
I didn't do it.
If anyone had, it most certainly would have been you.
Why, I've done nothing bad, and I don't know. How long
Where's
have you been,
your
Wilson?
troublesome brother?
Oh, you know Smee. He got one of them there freaky elf ladies upstairs with him to shake some cat's tail.
Is he fucking the locals out of their gold again?
Probably. It's what our mama used to do when we were kids. Except she was all respectable about it and a lady of the night. He don't call himself a lady of the night like mama did.
As long as you return with gold and our reputation unsullied, I will be happy. But please don't make fools of yourselves in public. You know how much the captain hates that.
We're not fools. I mean, we haven't been in the circus for years.
That's sort of my point.
You may not have been in the circus for years, but I'm not sure if you left.
Y'all want to play cards? And you just
No.
He's gonna pull out his own deck of cards and start doing like a few card tricks.
Tell me when Rusulki became funny. So she's sort of, with a little bit of a, unkind glare towards you, a sort of mom has eyes in the back of her head sort of vibe, kind of leaves you to be, and she does retire to her room as well. Ivard, now that it's winding closer towards, let's say, 11 o'clock, he takes his female companion upstairs. Tati and Toa, they retire to their rooms, very uncertain of themselves. Toa actually trips on the way, makes a bit of a mess, dropping a mug of ale that he's not even touched down the stairs. It tumbles, splashes everywhere. Hits Merrick's shoes as he's playing the game of darts over there. They're still awake and probably will be along with Ural for the remainder of the evening.
Yeah, I probably retire at some point, but I don't actually go to bed because I don't need to sleep. I just sit
Frequently.
and I just sit at the edge of the bed just waiting in the darkness in case someone decides to come into my room.
And while that's busy being super terrifying, I take it the rest of you eventually retire as well. Okay, so Wink has
I don't know.
delightful... Oh, please go ahead.
Do we share a room when we're in port or no? Does he buy a room for everybody?
Everyone does have the option of having separate rooms. I will leave it up to you what you would have decided in advance of having come to the tavern.
I probably get a room all to myself due to my predicament and nobody wanting to sleep in the same vicinity as a woman that literally cannot sleep and is a corpse.
Totally makes sense.
everyone wants nothing to do with sleeping arrangements.
Right, obviously.
I feel like Wink could probably just sleep anywhere anyway, but when they're in town, he very purposefully avoids getting a room with his brother for this very scenario.
Right. Oop. Wink is probably very used to Smee fucking the locals out of their gold, as I so succinctly put it.
I
So-
have a gift.
You all have a delightful rest, a long rest. Everything resets, except for Wink, who does have some really strange dreams. Nothing too untoward, but he does remember upon waking, he had dreams of bugs being covered in small bugs, not being able to brush them away no matter how hard you try. They just keep returning. And that's sort of the only impression you're left with as you awake. Smee, I will allow you to decide if you have removed your female companion from the room prior to retiring or what goes on the morning after, so to speak. Remembering, keeping in mind that you did nab her jewels while she was asleep.
All right. Yeah, I guess if it had to have been while she was asleep, it would have been weird to wake her up. So I'll send her on her merry way in the morning.
Okay. So she does she awakes. You attempt to send her on her way, and as she's getting dressed, she wasn't nearly as intoxicated as many of the other patrons last night. She only actually had 2 drinks the entire time.
Yeah.
One that she nursed with the gentleman that you complimented her while she was speaking with, and one at your table.
Yeah.
She's not hungover, and she does notice after putting on her dress that she can't seem to find the necklace or the earrings that she was wearing the night before. And she says, have you seen my necklace? I know I took it off before we, well, I'm sure I said it right here.
Quite a night. Let me come on, just take a look. And I'm gonna start acting like I'm looking for them.
Please make me a performance check.
I am a bard. I am quite good at that.
Do I hear this?
I would say you probably hear something, like you know that the folk in, we'll say that you're in the next room over if you want to overhear some things. You do hear that they are awake in the room, and you can tell that people are talking, but you're not quite sure what they're saying.
Okay, I'll take that. I won't go over just yet.
That isn't.
Oh, your mic cut out.
Oh, yep, I lost you. Oh, sorry, that was a good one.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
Unnatural 20 for performance.
Okay, so she buys it, hook, line, and sinker. She actually joins you in searching for the items that she's lost, lifting up well, I suppose it's more of a pallet on the, more of a mattress on the floor, sort of a situation, or a very rudimentary frame with only a small amount of space underneath. She's jamming her hands underneath there, kind of sweeping out, scoots the table. Here, will you help me with this?
Of course.
And, tries to scooch the bedside table a little bit and can't find it. And she's just so distraught. That was a gift from my mother.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I know. The man downstairs last night, he was my fiance. And I wore them. Like, for him, it was supposed to be a really special night. He's supposed to propose.
Oh no!
My jewelry. I didn't know what I'm gonna do. She's absolutely a wreck, just
sobbing,
entirely in tears.
Me,
I hear
Colton
this?
is devastated by this.
You
but
definitely overhear this from the other room.
Smee-
There's no mistaking
Smee
her
is
sobbing.
not.
I'd love to think that I'm very, very quiet when I need to be. And Smee probably just looks up and sees corpse woman in the door, just glaring at him, arms crossed, holding her whip hair.
Delilah does not even notice you. She has slid down the wall at, just to the other side of the table. Her head is in her hand. She is sobbing so violently. She hasn't even heard you enter the room, and she can't see you. She is crying that much.
Right before I walk over to Delilah to start pantomiming comfort, I'm going to just slyly walk over to the door and just kind of like smile at Rusulki and then just like close the door and lock it.
She just continues to it starts getting uglier and uglier. At first it starts out like decent, it's just sobbing and she can speak. Now it's not. She's full
so
on
bad.
ugly crying. Like there's snot coming. It's become
Jesus
voiceless.
I think even Smee at this point is like, ugh. But
completely inconsolable. Just
yeah. I mean,
she does look up through the sobs as they start to slow down just a bit. She is still gasping for air. There's still tears crying, but there's a little bit less snot. She rubs her eyes, she can see, and she just stares at you.
Oh,
wistfully.
Oh, Moonlight, come here. I was gonna come pull her into a big furry hug and say all the right things. I feel so bad. No.
I feel like probably around that point you just hear a knock on your door, and it's just like, "Hey, brother, we gotta get ready, get going. Ship's gonna sail. First light."
From inside the door. She definitely does. She hugs you back. You know, your comforting words help a little bit. Your fur on your neck has definitely gonna need to be cleaned. There's some tears and some other things that have come out of her face.
Oh, no.
On that part of your neck where she's buried her face, and she lets you go and just kind of squishes the shit out of your face in her hands. Says, "Thank you for helping me. I'm so sorry. I promise I'm not."
No, don't you apologize.
I'll just don't know what I'm gonna do if I don't find it. It's not your problem. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have made a mess of myself like this. And she's adjusting the neck of her dress and pushing her tits back into place. She kind of fixes her hair a little bit and wipes her eyes. And as she stares at you, the makeup that she had worn the night before streaming down her face, raccoon eyes, blush smeared up the side of her face into her hair. She was very overdone. It's dim lighting down there. Smeared up into her blonde hair. It's caked in there a little bit.
Why are you doing this to me?
She looks at you and she says, Do I look awful?
Oh, sugar, no. You could never look awful even if you tried.
Okay, really?
Of course. I'm gonna I'll go get like a washcloth and I'll start like dabbing her face and like doing my best to clean things up.
So she she thanks you. As you're cleaning her up, she continues muttering about her now ex-fiance and what her father's going to do if he ever finds out that she lost her mother's necklace, who died when she was just a child. But eventually she does make her way out of it.
Did I get other jewelry besides the necklace?
You got the necklace and you did get the earrings. So you
Okay.
can add abalone necklace and abalone earrings to your inventory. The necklace is worth 100 gold. The earrings are worth 30 gold together.
Okay. Smee is having just because you really hammered home how sad this lady is. Having like what if I kept the earrings but then just like slid the necklace somewhere? I think I'm just gonna make a roll for it. On evens, I'm gonna hide the necklace somewhere so she can find it, and on odds, I'm gonna keep it. That's a 3. So I guess I am keeping
So
the
you're
necklace.
definitely keeping it. Wow. Love them and leave them. That's how he rolled.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
yeah, I'll once things are settled down a bit, I'll head out.
so everybody is awake for the morning.
I've been awake.
Yeah, Rusulki has just spent the night staring, doing absolutely
I
nothing.
changed my mind. I'm putting the necklace somewhere. Me, the player Colton, just feels too bad. It hurts. I can just picture her in my mind's eye. So I think even Smee has like a change of heart after like he walks away and hears one last choking sob somewhere, and he's like, and he just like walks down to the table they were sitting at last night and like places the necklace under one of the table legs.
Okay, so yep, you leave the necklace there, you keep the earrings. When you guys make it downstairs, you're more than welcome to stop for breakfast. You know, there's the tavern actually opens early since it's an inn as well, so they do serve like a porridge. There is salted shark meat that you guys can munch on, a couple fruits, some root vegetables if you would like, and also a hot bone broth that's popular in the area. So there's some options there.
While we're eating, I do want to keep an eye on the table to make sure nobody else like goes over and picks up the necklace.
Okay. You don't see your female companion anywhere. She appears to have vacated the premises.
Already? I thought I left before her.
Yeah, no, she left. She definitely left.
Oh.
Yeah, she made her way out of the room, made her way
Gotcha.
downstairs before you exited. Yeah.
Cool. In that case, I'll probably just hand the necklace to the bartender.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
say
You
like,
can say you do that.
I think my lady companion last night might have left this behind on accident.
And from a few seats down at the bar, Mr. Ficklestick says, "My lady companion sure left something behind too."
I'm sure she did, friend. I'm not gonna continue to address that.
Yeah, so Ivard is bragging at the other end about his conquest to Ural, who is just eating every bit of it up. And Merrick on your other side, the rest of the crew has left. Tati and Toa are on the ship, are already at the ship as well. Merrick from the other side does kind of shout down to you, "Hey, sleepyheads, we need to make our way to the shark. It's time to disembark." And he stands up, brushes himself off, and
as that happens, I appear right next to him. Just almost like out of nowhere, just appears next to him as he says this.
Merrick's probably used to it at this point, so like from about like hip level, he just looks up at you and goes, I really hate it when you do that. And
can I appear on the other side of
I love how we're like turning into a little like secondary team. Like Grudge Woman and Tiny Kitten.
Right. Grudge Woman and Tiny Kitten. The Adventures of Grudge Woman and Tiny Kitten. So, all right. So if you guys would like to all exit the tavern, you can make your way out into the port city of Niweba.
Come on, Smee. I gotta get back to the ship to find a good spot to take a nap in.
I know, Wink. You gotta be on that one little spot of sunlight coming through that one window.
And from ahead of you down the dirt road that is leading towards the docks, and there's like a fisherman's merchant area around there as well, leading that way. She's about a couple hundred yards ahead of you. He overhears you mentioning the nap, and she turns around and says, "There won't be much time for napping what we're doing."
Well, there's always time for napping. Just gotta make it.
You can tell from behind, like looking at her up far ahead, she rolls her eyes, but makes it a very erratic motion of her head. That's what you see from behind as you make your way down to the docks.
Somebody's gotta. We just hear a Wink go like, "Somebody's gotta make up for the amount of sleep Russie over there don't get."
I'm like ahead. I have a movement speed of 40 feet. I am ahead of everyone, just barreling down the street. This weird corpse woman walking weirdly fast, unnaturally
Rusulki.
fast.
Entirely uninterested in the goings-on about you. New city, new faces, not a care. Just directly straight to the docks. Smee and Wink are you actually do know, because you know what time you're supposed to be departing, you know what time you woke up. You actually do have about a half an hour before the ship does actually need to leave port to be on schedule. So you have a little bit of time to check some things out if you would like to. Any more trouble you want to get in before you leave Nueva.
I'll probably just sell those earrings.
Okay.
And
So, you've never been in this city. This is your first time in Nueva, although you would know the captain gave you a little bit of the layout as you are going down this main thoroughfare that the tavern is at. You're going to pass a little bit of a residential district, and then there is a shopping district before it opens up out into the docks and fish market. To the left, there is a little row of shops. You're welcome to check them out, see if anybody would purchase what you've got. There are 4 there. One, there are no names printed on them. They just have little icons, sort of like hanging from their signs. One is pretty obviously a blacksmith, has a little hammer and anvil, perhaps a sword. The next one, you're not entirely sure what it is. It has a manuscript, kind of like a scroll. And then the third one in the row has an image of a sort of a tunic. And then the last one has an image of a seashell with a pearl sitting on it.
okay, so probably that one is what I'm looking for.
Okay.
And before I walk in, I want to quickly duck somewhere no one will see me. I'm going to cast Distort Value on the earrings to make them look doubly as valuable.
Okay, let me double check on Distort Value really quick. Let's say I don't remember. Okay. Distort Value. I need to remember, what's that check?
Investigation versus my spell save DC.
Okay, yep, got it. All righty. So you enter the shop. There is a young half-elf man behind the counter, and there appear to be some more people sort of in this, like there's like a back section. It's oriented, again, sort of rectangularly, like lengthwise. The shop sort of goes back, so there's a counter to your left, a few little shelves over on the right-hand side, and then sort of an archway, square archway that is obviously an employees only area back behind that direction.
Gotcha.
The shopkeep greets you. Hello, good morning.
Hello, sir.
Early?
Yeah, me and my friends are shipping out early in the morning today. I thought I'd come by and pawn off a couple of things don't really need anymore.
Oh, of course. What is it you might have to trade?
Let's take out the earrings. Just a couple gems here. Broke up with my lady friend, and don't think she'll be needing these anymore.
Oh, these are lovely. You know, there's a family that lives here. They've been here for a very long time. Oh, shoot, what is their name? It's something like Tillian. I can't recall. My grandma used to tell me about them. They live up there on the hill. This looks sort of like their family jewels. They're known for their abalone. You know, their family is fishermen. Odd. You know, I've not seen Tabaxi around these parts. How did you come across these?
I purchased some a ways away from here, actually.
Sea traveler then, you must be.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, well, let's have a look then. And he sort of scooches the earrings up towards him. He reaches down into, he's wearing an apron. He reaches down into the pocket of his apron and pulls out a monocle. It's like a jeweler's monocle. It has a few little lenses that flip down in front. Flips. Where's my dice?
There's no way I can silvery barbs without him knowing. 'Cause it is just a verbal component.
I mean, how is it written?
It says you magically distract the triggering creature and turn its momentary uncertainty into encouragement for another creature. So I'm not sure if that's he would know or not.
I mean,
would
you
say
ruled that I knew when you hit me during that game of darts.
Yeah, but you're a magic lady.
you think this shop keeps in a large port city. You think this is his first time with someone who would try to distort the value of an object they're attempting to sell.
Fine.
He would know that you would use magic on him, but I am still going to roll his check.
Yeah,
Is my
DC
dice
14.
roll? Hang on. Okay, shut up. And he got a 14.
Shit.
So your distort value does not work quite as well as you thought it would. He fortunately does not recognize these jewels quite as well as you were hoping he would not.
Yeah.
The family that Delilah comes from is very prominent in this area. These jewels, at least of this sort, and the people that wear them are known, but he can't quite put his finger on it. And so he does make an offer to you. He slides them back to you, takes the monocle off, and tucks it back in his apron. And he says, this early in the day, I think really the best I can offer you is 17 gold.
17. I feel like that's, no offense, lowballing it a little bit, mister.
Would you like to make a persuasion check?
Yes, please.
Can I give him the help
good
action?
at that.
You may give him the help action. How does that sound?
By golly, them there are the nicest looking earrings I have ever seen in my life.
I am on the ship. I am on the ship. I am
Wow.
on the ship.
Wow.
Lovely. That is gonna be a 24.
Okay, so all right. Because you're just passing through, you seem like a nice guy, and I can maybe do 20.
Well, I personally just don't want to keep looking these things around for too much longer, so I'll take 20.
20 gold it is. The bargain is struck, and he presents his hand for you to shake. Not quite the way you would have been used to it. You go to grab his hand, just grasp his palm, and he sort of looks at you. He goes, "Oh, that's right. You're not from around here." So he grabs your wrists. He pulls it up a little bit more. He grasps your forearm, and he presses these two fingers into the flesh on your forearm here. This is a little bit more of a traditional greeting here in the Weba for the next time that you're through. And he does
the more you know. Thank you,
with the
sir.
hand that he's using to hold your arm as he does this. He does upend your palm, and he places 20 gold.
Wonderful.
Now you two travel safe, okay?
You too, sir.
He ain't going to travel. He's a merchant, you dumbass.
He just shakes.
It's just being cordial, brother.
So I take it you guys make your way past the fish market to the ship. Being Tabaxi, of course, you do smell the overwhelming smell of seafood. It's very early in the morning. You're talking the freshest catches, so it is such a rich and lovely aroma. All types of crustaceans and fish that you could absolutely imagine. There is even a vendor who is selling turtle. although he appears to be a sort of a niche guy. There's only a few people who are frequenting his booth. There's a space for tuna at the other end that seems to be doing very well. It's very loud over at that end. So you guys sort of steer your way around those booths as you make it to the ship. And there she is, the bully shark in all of her glory. Let me double check how big she is.
Also, Smee kind of feels like shit now. He's like, damn it, she was that rich and I didn't steal from her? Should have taken that stupid necklace. She can fucking afford more.
Oh, brother, look at
Too little,
you.
too late.
Your heart went and done grown 4 more sizes overnight.
That's enough out of you.
Mama always said you was the nice one.
I also said you were the stupid one.
So there is
Oh,
you are gazing up at the bully shark. She is an 80-foot schooner. There is a from the dock. Dock juts out up and a platform that is obviously physically attached to the dock leads up to the edge of the ship. You can walk your way up the ramp to board her. Three main square rig sails, the center mast being the tallest, 2 gaff rigged sails on the aft end, aiding in navigation, and the helm of the ship at the fore end of the ship. The helm is at the aft end. Thrandar is up there at that side. He waves to you all. Merrick is already all the way up in the crow's nest. Presumably, Carlton and the captain are speaking in the captain's quarters about the journey y'all will be embarking on. And so you board the ship.
I want to so I feel like we have this exchange while we approach, and when he says that Mama always said I was the dumb one, like, but I'm not talking to you no more today.
I don't want to talk to you no more today.
I'm gonna acrobatics check to leap onto the side of the boat and climb up the side of it instead of climbing up with him.
Okay, acrobatics check.
Oh. That's not as good of an acrobatics check as I thought it would be. So what is my acrobatics? That's +9. So a 15.
Okay, with a 15, you do manage to. So you would have to be, in order to get to the ship, you would have to be at least partway up the ramp. It's about a good 20-foot distance between the lower portion of the dock and the bulwark of the ship. You do manage to make that leap off of the ramp, up about a good 13 feet, and you catch the edge of the ship's hull, but you are just dangling on the edge there. And in order to get onto the ship, you actually would have to sort of climb your way over and throw yourself on the deck.
If it helps,
All right.
I'll dash or use my feline agility to double my speed for the turn.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm gonna look up at him while he does that. Like, really? We're doing this? And I want to also acrobatics check it. I want to one up him.
My God.
I'm a roll.
Acrobatics check for me, please.
That is an unnatural 20. And
Okay.
I'm also a College of Swords bard, so my thing is all about flourishing and being cute and things. So I want to do flips and things as I'm
Please describe acrobatics show as you board the ship looks like for us.
I'll just kind of do a little parkour jump at the beginning where I pull myself up and jump super high and do a side flip spin thing and then handstand at the top of the ship. And then I'll get down and help him up.
Do you accept Smee's help?
Yes, I hiss back at you.
So the two of you fighting at the edge of the ship catches the attention.
I'd like to think we like turned to one of those like cat tumbleweeds of like pawing at each other in claws.
Oh yeah, when you
Little-
offer the hand, I just tackle you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wring your skinny neck, big
I'd
brother.
like to see you try, you scrawny little shrimp.
So there's this cartoon ball of smoke with, you know, the paw sticks out here and there's a paw here and then a bit of a tail and an ear. And so you've obviously caught the attention of Maryland, who is also at the aft end of the ship on the upper deck, kind of barking orders at Thrandar. And she jumps down the edge of the stairs and kind of lands with her feet, hand on her cutlass, and says, "What? How many times have I told you to knock this shit off?" And she reaches down and grabs both of you by one hand each and yanks you up to your feet.
By the scruff.
And smacks both of you on the ass. Now get to work. And
She
she
grumble as I walk away.
points towards various areas of the ship where the mooring ropes need to be undone. You know, start, you know, untie a knot, you know, unfurl a sail, do something with yourself. Shit, go boil a carrot. We're gonna need something to eat. And she makes her way back up to the aft end of the ship. At the helm, Carlton and the captain emerge from the captain's quarters. Again, at the back end of the ship, there's a set of doors. Opens out, and the two of them come out from underneath the upper deck. As you guys finish up, you know, the last adjustments that you're making, getting the gaff set exactly just so that it catches the wind and steers you out of port, unfurling the main sails, you know, communicating back and forth with Merrick, who shouts from the crow's nest, you know, clear waters, full speed. The captain does give the order to disembark from the upper deck. You know, he barks the command. All hands. Everybody takes their positions, and the ship sets sail. We leave port in calm blue waters. The sun is just barely having risen, so it hangs low and heavy over the horizon. No clouds in the sky, only, you know, the sound of birds, the clear water in front of you, and the occasional fish, you know, you can see swimming beside the ship, making their way out to the ocean. A few other ships leaving port with you, a few smaller vessels, some with sails, some that are human powered. You know, there's small canoes and other things of that nature. A few more interesting, perhaps magically propelled vessels carved with runes that appear to move on their own, really without any human occupants. And you make your way out to sea. You make it a few miles from port. You are now out in the open ocean, not a thing in sight other than just the sea and the sky. Where you are headed is the port town of Keelhaul in Gothia. You are again delivering a shipment, the second half of the shipment of black powder. They were picked up from the same location. Half of it was being delivered in Indra, and half of it is going to Gothia. For military means or otherwise, you really don't know. That's none of your business. You don't really care where the money comes from as long as you get it. So you're out in the open ocean, not a care in the world. The voyage will take about 3 days to get from Niweba to Keelhaul in Gothia. During that time, it is you and the rest of the crew. Now that you've made it out to the open ocean, the sails are pretty set. Merrick does maintain his position from the crow's nest, aiding and navigating as the ship's scout. Thrandar or the captain trade off at the helm, taking breaks when needed. It's been a few hours into the early morning, and you journey peacefully. It doesn't really require much work. You have a nice, strong tailwind. You might even get where you're going early. Not many crosswinds to speak of, and the waters are calm. So you make your way easily. It doesn't really require much effort to maintain course. The wheel gets locked, and you have the run of the ship. Or if, in case you guys want to see the map, I did pop it into chat, give you an idea what is aboard the ship. The upper deck, obviously pretty much just for sailing and navigating the ship. The middle deck there at the back end, at the very, very back end there on the far left is captain's quarters. Just around the corner there is the first mate's quarters. That is where Marilyn sleeps. And then across that small hall from that is the mess. Then you just sort of have this open area for the crew to sort of entertain themselves. There's a set of a small table where you might play cards or something like that. And then behind where that the foremast does come down into the belly of the ship is the kitchen, I suppose you might call it, where Ural usually hangs out, and he often ends up sleeping in there as well. The bottom deck, mostly for cargo storage, and that is also where the crew's quarters are. As you can see by looking at the map, you guys don't really have super comfortable accommodations. It's pretty much just a cot strapped up to either side of the wall. Sleeping is a necessity here. When you're traveling, it's not really something that you do for pleasure. Other than Wink, who does enjoy the occasional nap and is often roused from his slumber in the strangest of places by either Marilyn or Ivard, insisting that he even one task or another.
Could you send the map again in the chat, please? I don't think I have it.
Yeah, I sure can.
Thank you.
1 second.
I like to think that like the one thing that Wink does, like other than like when he gets nagged to do like real ship work and chores, is like within the first half an hour of being on the ship, his rapier just skewered along it are any rats that went on the boat while they were in port. And he's just in the kitchen roasting them over the fire. He's the ship's unofficial ratter. And he's very good at what he does.
Gross as that is, Ural does allow it because it's super entertaining to hear Brandar complain about how he hates the stench of those foul creatures you keep bringing into the kitchen.
Smee kind of acts like he's above that a little bit, but does enjoy a rat from time to time cooked by his brother.
Yeah, and to be perfectly frank, the preparation that you do on the rats is honestly not much worse than what Ural is usually feeding you. He's really not the best cooks, the best of cooks. Usually your meals amount to a thin stew of cabbage and perhaps some fish that they've caught, served over some hardtack.
I'll use my rat Pierre as a rapier, a rat Pierre as a peace offering. Be like, now I'll say I'm sorry if you're sorry.
I'm sorry, little brother.
Here, have a rat.
That first mate is a piece of work after all. And I just like start eating a rat.
I am probably stalking the perimeter of the ship on all the floors, looking at all the woodwork because I am a carpenter and I know how like the wood works. And occasionally if you get like a leak or something, I actually dive over the edge of the ship and fix it because I don't need to breathe. So I can just fix it in the water. But I probably spend most of my time stalking the ship looking for just about anything that I can, anything carpentry wise that I can do. So things probably are pretty well fixed all the time because I just have like a one-track mind, like, oh, gotta fix this, gotta fix this, gotta fix this, gotta fix this, and just go down the line fixing everything.
Heard. So you probably would be pretty tight with Mr. Picklestick, who is the ship's official mechanic. Being a gnome, he's pretty well suited to it.
Right.
Mr. Picklestick is also an armor artificer, so he is sort of following you. Well, you rather are following him around the ship as he points out various areas he'd like you to work on. His armor sort of clanking as he goes. It's pretty comical, actually, seeing a tiny gnome and hearing this nasally little voice come out of this hulking mass of like a brass colored armor that he's created.
So it's like he's just a little guy in a giant suit of armor is the deal?
Yep, 100%.
All right, that's fun.
Yep. Yes, he is. It is like it's he actually wears its enhanced defense plate mail, so it is thick. It's tiny little guy, big suit of armor. He maybe may have heard Thrandar make one too many jokes, like, "Did you hear the one about the gnome who always satisfied his woman? Neither am I." So he's compensating maybe a little bit.
He's gonna be the guy that invents the dildo.
Definitely. Yeah, he definitely would. Ivard definitely is a womanizer, as you found out at the tavern. Brandar, while he is not at the helm, at the wheel, and navigating, steering the ship, he really, really enjoys interrupting other people's work with practical. Does things like putting bugs in people's shoes or leaving dead rats in odd places, cutting rope so that it snaps at just the wrong moment. Nothing that would threaten the ship's safety or anything, but definitely makes things inconvenient. He really likes to pick on Merrick for some reason. That's one of his favorites. Perhaps it's because he's one of the only other people on the ship who's smaller than him. So yeah, you would know Thrandar is making his rounds. Ural hiding pretty much in the kitchen most of the time, except for when he's interrupted by Wink. And you sail on for a few more hours. It's late afternoon now. And you have made it well out into the open ocean. There is no land in sight. In order to make it back to Keelhaul, the way that the currents run, you actually sort of have to go out and around a bit, so that the wind and the current will pull you into shore and you'll have a little bit easier sailing. But you are about to reach a portion of the open ocean where the currents do shift. There's a cross current here. The water gets a little bit cooler as you head up north, and so there's a point in this late afternoon day, the captain again makes the call, all hands. And there's a bit of navigation work that needs to be done. Thrandar takes the helm. Merrick climbs down from the crow's nest, his spyglass tucked at his belt, and begins fussing with the ropes here. Can I have a survival check from everyone, please?
Survival.
Oh, I'm not good at
Almost took proficiency in survival.
I don't think I did.
Oh.
Nope, I took it in
Anyways.
stealth.
I got
I got an
Oh.
unnatural 20 because I rolled a 19 and I have a +1
Nice.
from Jack of all trades. So
Okay, excellent. So Smee, Marilyn has given you the instruction. You need to reel in the starboard gaff. So you begin pulling on this rope. You do it expertly. It reels in, the gaff beam swings in, and the sail is now parallel with the wind. So you tie it off quickly and expertly, and just as quickly as she asked you.
I
wonderful.
got a 5.
Hey,
3.
you guys are terrible sailors. Okay, so Rusulki, you have been asked to aid Merrick in reeling in the bottom sail on the foremast. You no longer need quite as much propulsion as you did. If you do, you're going to continue sailing out into open ocean. It's going to take far too far west, and you need to head east. So you grab a hold of this. There's a weighted pulley system here, and the pulley sticks on you, and you aren't able to pull the rope to roll the sail back up. It sticks, it sticks, it sticks. You try, and eventually Ural from behind notices that you're struggling and says, "Come on, you know better than that. This is how you do it." And he pushes you out of the way. He grabs the rope and he reels in that side of the sail. And you, Wink, you got a 5?
I got a 3.
You got a 3. Okay,
I rolled a
fantastic.
2 plus 1.
Okay. Thrandar, you let's say are on the upper deck, just enjoying the breeze in your face as you eat these rats, and Thrandar asks you to take the wheel for just a moment, as he notices the tumult going on at the fore end of the ship, with Rusulki failing to reel her sail in and Ural needing to help him. So he jumps away from the wheel for a second and asks you to take it. Unfortunately, you don't grab it quite enough in time, and the wheel spins hard to port, not the direction that you need to go. And he stops at his place on the stairs and says, "What are you doing, you fool?" He runs back up and grabs the wheel, spins it the other direction violently, smacks you out of the way, says, "Stand back if you can't be of any help." And that will be the end of our little skill challenge there. We have right the ship. The port side, or I'm sorry, the starboard side gaff is turned in. The port side gaff is turned in, and you have reeled up the bottom sail on the foremast here. So your sailing returns to a little bit more of a smooth path after you go into these slightly more choppy waters, a little bit more crosswind coming in. But you manage to navigate your way through it, although there are a few hiccups, and you do get some glares from Marilyn on the upper deck, not super thrilled with your demonstration of your skills. So you make it again further out into open water, now headed directly north. Merrick makes his way back up to the crow's nest at his post. Later into the afternoon, Ural prepares a meal for you again, a thin, boring stew served over some hardtack. Your food does need to be rationed. You picked up while you were in Niweba, not you specifically, but Marilyn and the captain had more forethought of those who are less responsible than they are. So you have food to eat, but you have to ration. You're still hungry after you've eaten, but it's enough to continue working.
I'm not.
There's more of them rats out there.
Rusulki, obviously, yeah, you wouldn't need to eat, so you pass your time continuing to parole or peruse the ship, kind of perambulating.
Yep.
What is going on there?
Smee is like bummed. He's just kind of like at the mess hall with his ears down, looking all sad because he's nobody else around to steal from. It's just the crew, and I think he's learned at this point to not steal from the crew.
Oh, that would be a very bad idea.
So yeah. He's suckerless out here, and he's just so bored.
As you are at the mess, sort of contemplating the nature of your boredom, you recall an interchange that did occur shortly after Wink and Smee joined the crew, upon which, still not knowing the true nature of the crew's goals and what they do, you did attempt to actually pickpocket Marilyn herself while she was sleeping. That did not end well for you, and Wink ended up spending most of the next day bandaging your wounds. Oof. So, yeah. That, I imagine, is actually when the crew found out your true nature as well. So it was a bit of a bonding moment, even though
Yeah.
you were nursing your wounds.
We were only expecting to stay here for to the next port, and then once we learned of the real nature of the bully shark, we decided to stick around, as it seems our interests are more aligned than we thought.
Indeed. So you you sail on. The captain decides he is going to take himself a brief nap, leaves things in the care of Marilyn, who is very happy to be in control, looking all domineering from the upper deck, standing behind the helm, not steering the ship, mind you, but surveying her castle. And Merrick from the crow's nest, he gives a sudden shout. It's a bit alarming for those of you that would hear it. Where are you all at?
I'd like to say that I'm on deck, probably.
Okay.
Just occasionally pop up to. I don't need fresh air, but it's nice.
So Rusulki's on top deck.
How far up is the crow's nest? Like, how many feet up is it?
It is half the center mast, which is 50 feet tall. So the crow's nest it's about 30 feet in the air.
Okay. I'm definitely just perched on the outside of it. I slunk up there at some point. And I'm just like, he's like in it, and I'm just like sitting on the edge of it, kind of like kicking my feet. And because I feel like we've been here for almost 2 years at this point. I feel like there's been a handful of times where Winks just downed randomly a seagull or a pelican flying over the boat.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Like, got it with a dart or a dagger, and like, we ate good that day.
That's dinner. Yeah.
And Smee, I think, also has probably learned that no one will play poker with him because he'll take them for everything they're worth. And so he's probably just very bored, sitting on like the main deck, just like balancing his rapier on his finger.
Not doing fuck all nothing. There's a few other members of the crew who are keeping up the charade. Thrandar and Marilyn are back at the aft end of the ship on the upper deck at the helm. Again, Merrick's at the crow's nest, Winks at the crow's nest. Rusulki, you're on the main deck, and so is Smee. Tati, Toa, and Ivard are on the starboard side of the ship, casting out a net, because we do actually still need to keep up the charade that we are fishermen. There needs to be a delivery when they get to Keelhaul. So they are casting out for fish. This particular area, they are just looking for perch. They're simple surface fish. Merrick from the crow's nest, he shouts, "Captain! Captain!" Wink, obviously you being literally right next to him, like he's basically shouting in your ear. It's a little startling. He drops the spyglass onto the floor of the crow's nest, and actually almost tips himself over it, missing the ladder down the center mast entirely. But he does right himself, and catches his breath for a moment.
You okay there, buddy?
Yes, I'm fine. Where is the captain gone? I need to. There's something in the sky.
What's something in the sky?
Yes, something in the fetch the captain. Go.
Oh, well, you could have asked nice. And I'm just gonna like rappel down the side of the mast using my claws to not take falling damage as I slow my descent. It's just one giant scratch post. We've got a carpenter on board. It's fine.
So
You just watch as you're scraping down. You just see me, and those of you that are standing like near me, you actually hear like me white knuckling my braid, and you actually hear it like creak like a leather whip as I'm just white knuckling this braid as I watch you.
Obviously seething that you've damaged her work, but you do rappel down the center mast for no particular reason. I mean, the ladder is right there, but Wink likes to show off, so let's do a little parkour. Why not? And you make your way across the main deck to the captain's quarters underneath the upper deck. pounding on the door. And the captain does...
Get that. Could you try again?
No. Could you shut up? Pardon the interruption. And the captain does emerge from his quarters. What is all the fuss about?
Merrick said there's something in the sky up there.
Something in the sky. And Merrick is making his way down the ladder of the center mast. Tati and Toa from the side, very concerned. They're always pretty uncertain of themselves as their recent addition to the ship. They don't really know what they're doing. They have no idea what's going on. Ivard, on the other hand, doesn't really seem to be troubled at all. He just sort of continues fussing with the net, going on as if nothing were happening. Merrick makes his way down the center mast and he says, "Yes, Captain, there's something strange in the sky. I've never seen anything like it before. It's a thing. It's big and it's hurtling towards the mainland." The captain just kind of looks at him strangely. It's okay, towards the mainland, you say. What is it? He says, I don't know. It's too far away for me to see any detail, but it's large and it's fast. It's very high up in the sky. I can't imagine where it would have come from. The captain does look concerned and he strokes his beard for a moment and lifts up his cap, situating it properly on his head, and says, "Okay, return to your post. Keep an eye on the weather patterns. Keep us..." Brandar! Shouts Brandar. Yeah, I'm coming! He locks the wheel and comes down. Maintain course. Communicate with Merrick about this strange thing in the sky. If we get a heavy crosswind, steer into it. I'm a little concerned. And he makes his way up to the upper deck, seemingly satisfied for the moment that you guys will be able to handle whatever it is that arises from this situation. And the crew collectively takes a breath. If the captain is not concerned, well, too concerned, then they trust him. You sail on well into the evening, nearly forgetting about the strange thing that appeared in the sky. Again, just out on open water, still nowhere near land. The sun has set. The ship is pretty much set for the next few hours. The way that sleeping goes here, you guys take shifts. A few of you are awake at a time. One at the wheel, one in the crow's nest, somebody minding the sails. It's a bit of a skeleton crew, but you'll make it through. You pass the evening with levity. There's another meal prepared by Ural. You guys dine in the mess. Smee again tries to convince anybody who will listen to play a game of cards with him, and they all know much better than that. Thranдар protesting the most violently, as he was the most gullible and did actually lose a fair bit to Smee once or twice in the past on a drunken night. Rusulki, obviously having no need to eat or sleep, is always awake, spends the evening patrolling the ship. The rest of you, after your meal, do take shifts resting. So, Wink and Smee, would you roll me a D12, please?
Well,
Not often I roll a D12.
oh, I got a 1.
I got a
I don't know if
3.
that's good or bad.
Okay, so you are both actually going to be on first watch, along with Rusulki. The night
What are the odds?
on. Who would like to be at the helm?
I actually checked and I do have proficiency with water vehicles, so I can do the helm.
Fabulous. Okay.
Cool.
I am going to freely admit I actually don't know what sort of checks are involved in piloting such a vehicle, but we'll get there when we get there. And And then one of you will want to be either in the crow's nest or dead center on the main deck. The other at the aft end or the fore end of the ship at the prow.
Well, I think Wink has already shown he has a inclination for high places, so if he wants the crow's nest, he can have it.
Yeah, I'll climb up to the crow's nest.
Okay. Wink will take the crow's nest. Rusulki is at the helm, and Smee, along with Tati,
Oh,
are taking the remainder of the main deck. The night grows darker. It becomes cloudy. The waters become cooler. You have sailed far enough away from the southern currents around Gyptia that there's a chill in the air. It becomes foggy and more difficult to see, although Ivard has been kind enough to, I actually can't recall what they're called, the decorative piece that graces the front of the ship. He has been kind enough to imbue that with light, so you can see just a few feet in front of the ship, although again, it is about 40 feet from the top of the ship to the ocean's surface.
Girl, we got dark vision.
it's called a figurehead.
Figurehead.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. That thing is shiny. And you sail on. As you sail, Smee, you don't notice nearly as much, and Rusulki, you not at all. Neither do you, Wink. Again, not as much as Tati, who begins to rub her arms. It is becoming quite a bit cooler. Obviously, Rusulki, you're not bothered by this.
Right.
Our Tabaxi brothers are covered in fur, so they're not bothered nearly as much, although they are aware of the change.
Yeah.
The weather becomes a little bit more violent. There's a wind that begins blowing across the ship. It does take a bit of effort to navigate, steering the correct way and controlling the gaffs on either side of the ship to maintain course under the shifting conditions of the winds. Although, Wink, you do a pretty fair job of, again, with your dark vision, shouting back to Rusulki and getting her to steer correctly, managing the two, Tati and Smee, on the ground with the gaffs.
I think I'll
There
look
is
at Toddy and be like, "Oh, you're from somewhere pretty warm, aren't you?"
Yes, I am. I only ever have summer in my home.
Makes sense. Well, why don't you run and grab a blanket from the bunk if you want?
Okay, yes. And she does. She runs actually back to the mess where she left a cloak that she
Gotcha.
sometimes wear when it's a little bit cooler outside. By the time she makes it out, Smee, it has suddenly just dumped on you. The rain it's absolutely pouring. How made it to this section of the ocean where the waves have become more violent. You are having to Rusulki, you are having to steer the ship around these enormous swells, 40 and 50-foot swells that lap up over the bow of the ship onto the deck and slosh everyone's feet. You're completely soaked. The thunder booms and lightning flashes out in the distance over the open ocean. And the moon hangs heavy in the sky, partially covered by these enormous storm clouds, only peeking through as they shift violently back and forth. Through this storm, you guys do your best to navigate the ship, and you're managing to control it pretty well. It's very difficult. It requires a lot of focus. Rusulki, you don't really have as much trouble as the more living folk. You're not really as bothered by things. through the tumult, Smee, you hear Tati shout. She screams bloody murder. Limeki! Limeki! Shouting violently, and you have absolutely no idea what's going on. She immediately abandons her post at the starboard gaff. The gaff swings out violently over the side of the ship as another swell crests the bow of the ship. The ship jumps over the wave. Rusulki, you're barely able to keep it on course. And can I get a perception check from everyone, please?
Perception. Ooh, I have a lot of perception.
You got an
Really?
11?
25 with a nat
Nice.
20.
I got a 20. Wait, what is that? 22.
I'm just gonna shout after Todd, like, where in the hell are you going? We need you over there.
And she is just fucking booking it. She pounds on the door to the captain's quarters and just screams violently, up here, down the stairs to the lower decks, trying to summon the rest of the crew. The captain emerges from his cabin in a fit, just barely even awake. It's not his shift, but he brings himself together. Marilyn from the upper deck and you, Rusulki, turn to see a giant crustacean cresting the side, stabs each of its legs into the wood, and you are just painfully witnessing the destruction of the beautiful carpentry. Its giant claws crush the sides of the ship into little bits, just shrapnel, as it makes its way over the edge and onto the upper deck. Smee, what was your perception again?
I got an 11.
Okay, so you are so entranced in your work and so disrupted by what happened. You do not notice
The giant crab. No.
behind you on the upper deck. You do hear that there's a mess going on. But at this very point in time, you have not seen the creature. You don't actually know what's up there. And so as the storm roils above you and this hideous blue-green giant crab creature crests the edge of the ship, shattering it into pieces, that is where we're going to end tonight's episode. And I will see all of you next week. And I'll see the rest of you in a few.